Hi everybody, and welcome to my first edition of Cooking with Danika. Today's recipe is beef lasagna, as requested by many of you. I'm really looking forward to doing this recipe for you. It's my favourite dish. I use the base of my lasagna for my bolognese sauce as well. It's simple, effective, and you guys are going to love it. Thanks so much for your patience with waiting with these videos. I know they've been a long time coming and I really appreciate your support and your patience. Now our ingredients we're going to be using today. I have 2 medium brown onions, 3 cloves of garlic, I have 1 tablespoon of dried oregano, I have 5 dried bay leaves and 2 chicken stock cubes, I have 1 bottle of Italian passata, I have 2 cans of diced tomatoes, and mixed in with that I've got 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. I have 2 kilos of pork and beef mince. You can just use beef if you're not a fan of pork, but I find pork gives a great flavour. I've also got half a cup of red wine, and that'll make the base of our bolognese sauce. Next, for our bechamel sauce, I have 120 grams of salted butter. I have 1/3 of a cup of plain flour, 4.5 cups of full cream milk, and I've also got half a cup of Parmesan cheese. Towards the end, the layering process, I have instant lasagna sheets, but because I've chosen to buy them instead of make them. And I've also got some grated tasty cheese to sprinkle through the layers as well. Today, I will be using this glass medium-sized Pyrex dish. You can use metal, you can use aluminium, whatever's easier for you. I just find this easy to clean. Okay, next step, we're going to dice the onion and chop the garlic. So I've peeled this onion already, just slice it in half. Again with the other one. You find the core, the little white bit, face that away from you. Use your knife and nice easy slices. Don't cut all the way through to the edge here. You want to leave a little bit of a gap on this part of the onion. Next you get your knife horizontal, put your hand on top and just slice a little bit like that. Now you slice straight up and down. Continue that on with the rest of the onion. Excuse the mess. I'm a bit of a messy worker, but I like to clean as I go. Obviously guys, the sharper your knife, the less intense this stuff's going to be on your eyes. So guaranteed, if you sharpen your knife to a decent sharpness, you're going to have a lot of a better time chopping this onion than you would if your knife was blunt. Doesn't matter how expensive your knife is, if you just keep your knives nice and sharp, they'll serve you well. Okay, next the garlic. I'm just going to real quickly put this in a container here, get it out of the way. Now, garlic's easy. I get this little shitty bit off the end. Again with the others. Okay. Slice each clove of garlic nicely. Doesn't have to be too fine because basically what we're going to do after this part is go over it like this. to the onion, and we're good to go. Okay guys, next you got your big heavy pot. We've heated it up, it's got the oil in it, it's really nice and hot. You start with your chopped onion and garlic, straight in. Give it a bit of a mix. Let that cook for a little bit. You basically want to cook it until it's a little bit translucent so you can sort of see through it before you add anything else to the pot. Don't be afraid to just let it sit for a bit and let it get as much colour as you can. Don't be tempted to mix it constantly because it'll take longer to cook up. Okay, so as you can see, the onion is now slightly translucent. Now this is the next step where we add the mince. Now I'm going to add the mince a little bit at a time, just because it's a fairly narrow pot. Try and break it up as you throw it in there so that there's less chances of being too lumpy. Get right in there, use your muscles, break it up, give it a mix, do what you have to. You want this to cook, to get to a brown colour before you add anything else. So basically you're browning the mince. Let it sit for a bit, get some colour, and then keep mixing it. Okay, so as you can see, it's more brown than anything. There's a little bit of pink in there, but that's okay. This is going to be simmering away for a little bit. So now we can add the red wine. About half a cup of red wine in here. Straight in. Give it a bit of a mix. Basically, what you add in the wine first to cook it out a little bit, to cook out the alcohol content, but it'll still maintain its flavour. Now we add some the chicken stock cubes. Just break it up a little bit as you put them in. 2 of them. Mix. Okay, now we add the diced tomatoes and tomato paste. And also the passata. Be very gentle at this point because now you got a lot more liquid in there. Now at this point, you just let it bring up to the boil. Once it's up to the boil, if you still think it's a bit too dry, you can add a little bit of water or a little bit more chicken stock or beef stock, whatever you decide to use. But this is looking quite good. Because this is a base for a lasagna, not so much a bolognese, it's okay to be slightly dry more than runny. If it was just a bolognese sauce you were going to have with pasta or something, you probably would want it a little bit more saucy. But I think that's pretty good. Next, I've got the 5 bay leaves. They go straight in. Mix them through. And the dried oregano, straight in as well. Again, mix it through. Alright, at this point, we'll now let it simmer for about an hour, just to absorb all the flavours. You can simmer it on a medium heat so it doesn't burn at the bottom. Just keep checking it, just keep stirring it every 10 minutes or so, just to make sure that it's not sticking. Make sure make sure it's not rapidly boiling. You don't want it to burn, you don't want it to stick, so just a nice medium heat, just a nice simmer. That's what you're looking for. And we'll be back in about an hour's time. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the finished bolognese. Just going to take out the bay leaves if we can find them, because there's nothing worse than chewing on one of these. What I forgot to mention was to season it. So you can season it at the end, it's fine. Just a bit of pepper and some sea salt. Mix that in, and that is pretty much good to go. Alright, next we're going to make the bechamel. So what you need here is a pretty large one-handed pot. Basically, you get your heat going. I've got on a small burner here. Ideally, do not put this on a big burner with a high heat, because you will burn everything. So have a nice small burner if you can, on a really medium low heat. You just want it hot enough just to sort of combine everything. While we're waiting for that to heat, you add your butter in. And you melt the butter. This is obviously making the bechamel sauce. Okay, so the butter's pretty much melted. It's hot. So now you add your flour. At this point, whisk pretty vigorously. You make like a little bit of a roux here. This is called a roux, spelled R-O-U-X. Cook out that flour just a little bit, and then you add your milk. And make a mess. Now, just whisk until it comes together into a nice thick sauce. This too you can season, but I wouldn't season this till the very end, just to make sure, because sometimes the Parmesan cheese is pretty salty enough. Also, the Parmesan cheese gets added at the end as well. You're just basically melting it through. So just keep whisking. If you want to turn the heat up, you can, just to crank it. You'll notice it'll thicken up to be like a really smooth sauce, and that's when you know you're done. Well guys, it took about 10 minutes of a little bit of whisking, but we eventually got there. As you can see, it's nice and thick, it's nice and smooth. That's what you want. You can keep whisking until you think it thickens up a little bit more if you like it like that. But at this point now, I'm just going to turn the heat off, and I'm going to add the palmy. And let the palmy melt through it. You'll get a little bit lumpy, but just keep whisking. Remember, the heat's off, okay? You don't want the heat on because you're going to burn it. thickening up a little bit more with the cheese. And it's smoothed out a lot. So now is the perfect time to give it a taste. Just let you know if you need any more seasoning. Might need to throw a little bit of salt. Again, this is all based on your own preference of taste. You know, if you don't like it too salty, don't add salt. If you don't like it, if you like a lot of salt, add as much salt as you want. But just make sure you taste everything. And that's it. It's done. Okay guys, now it's time to start your layering. So what I've done is I've set up a little station here. You've got your bolognese, you've got your bechamel, you've got your cheese, and of course you've got your lasagna sheets. Now right in front of you, set up your little dish. I always start with a little light layer on the bottom of the dish with the bolognese. Now if you're using an aluminium dish, it's a good idea to spray with some cooking oil before you start this, otherwise it'll stick like glue. So I just put a little small thin layer of the bolognese on the bottom like that. Then you start with your lasagna sheets. And it's a layering process. So just take it nice and easy. Right. Next, again, with your bolognese, make sure it's a nice coating of it. I've also thought I should tell you too, ideally, it's a good idea to have your oven set to about 200 to preheat. Once we put the lasagna in, we'll reduce the heat to about 180. And it takes about half an hour. And just keep an eye on it. Some ovens are different. Just keep an eye on it. If you feel like it's browning too much on the top, just turn the heat down. So okay, after this stage, we have your bechamel. All over. Like that. Then, I've also, in this cheese, I've added a little bit of Parmy cheese just for a bit more flavour. It's up to you guys, you can just use cheddar or whatever, but Parmy is good for flavour. Then you just layer a thin layer of cheese. And basically this will probably be the top layer, this one. If you get it too high, it'll just overflow when you put it in the oven. So top layer 2. I always do sauce on the top layer as well. Right, cheese. Now you can be a bit more cheesy on the top if you like. Gives it a nice little bit of a crispy top. And it's as simple as that. So now you put it in the oven. At this point, you can turn it down to about 180 for half an hour. Now, as you can see, I've got a lot of leftover bolognese here. This is good. You can keep this, you can use it as your bolognese sauce, or you can make another lasagna with it. It freezes for up to 3 months, same as your bechamel. And there you go guys, finished product. Smells amazing, and I bet you it'll taste even better. Guys, this is the finished product. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you found it helpful. Give it a go, see what you think. Let everybody know how you felt this video was. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the channel with all your friends. And I'm still taking suggestions for next month's video. With Christmas coming up, I'm happy to do something festive. Let me know what you guys want and I'll give it a crack. See you next month. Take it easy.